Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Campaign Show. I am your host, Patrick Howley. So much going on in the news. Of course, America continues to wonder who was doing coke in the White House, who left the cocaine in the White House. Initially, the hazmat call was talking about the library in the White House, and then all of a sudden they said, oh no, it was in this other area where and here's the chutzpah. Here is the absolute chutzpah of the Biden regime. Guess who they're trying to blame? They're clearly trying to pin the blame on nice Americans who go to a White House tour, White House visitors who supposedly leave their cell phones in this area. That's who they're trying to blame. So if you take a White House tour, be aware that the government might accuse you of cocaine. If this was the case, how come the White House cameras couldn't figure that out? How come the Secret Service couldn't figure that out? Well, it looks like a cover-up is underway. Here is the White House lady talking about this very big story.
We believe that, the Secret Service did a thorough investigation. Certainly not going to opine on the investigation. Of course, we're going to have confidence that they're going to do their jobs and do everything that they can to get to the bottom of this. Of course, that is something that we have confidence. We will always have confidence in that.
We see the White House lady. She's usually wearing orange a lot of the time. A lot of the time she wears orange.
In their public statement,
but sometimes
as well as the Secret Service has said, there is hundreds of visitors that travel through this area where
the audio is out?
Where the cocaine was found across that weekend.
Is it the Mossad messing with us, or the CIA, perhaps?
For any additional information, but certainly not going to
Jeffrey Epstein with a face transplant behind the scenes
process here, but
messing with our wires. We will get that audio issue worked out in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take this moment to say the following. I am nominated for something called the American Liberty Award. I am nominated actually for 2 American Liberty Awards. This is going to be an award ceremony in Austin, Texas next month in August. And Alex Jones is going to be there. Bryson Gray is going to be there. All kinds of big people are nominated. And it would be an amazing opportunity for me, the host of the campaign show, to give an acceptance speech in front of this august crowd. If, in fact, I win one of the American Liberty Awards. So what you can do right now to help me out, because voting is almost closed, you can go to AmericanLibertyAwards.com and you can vote for me, Patrick Howley, for Most Truthful Writer. And you can also vote for National File for Most Trusted Print Media. If I win in either of those 2 categories, if either I win in Most Truthful Writer or if National File wins in Most Trusted Print Media, I will be delivering a speech. And I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to be a good speech if we get to give it. But some great people nominated in these categories. But, I seek victory. I do. I seek victory. And so if you want to help me out with this, AmericanLibertyAwards.com. Go there, vote for me, and hopefully good things will happen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, let's see the kind of reaction that he got at the American Indigenous Awards. The audio is still out. It may be the Mossad. I don't necessarily have evidence that it's the Mossad, but they're brilliant Justin Trudeau, obviously. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on in your lives, and what is going on in my life, and what is going on in the lives of people who are working together to try to build a truth movement of good people who are out there doing the work every single day? This is the kind of thing that we have to think about. Are we treating the patriots who are out there really being activists, really, getting out there and making a difference, the real truth tellers, the real truth journalists? Are we appreciating these people? Because oftentimes, the people who are doing the most, putting forth the most effort, being the most patriotic, being the most righteous and truthful, are oftentimes not recognized. And so, ultimately, I don't care if I win the award or not, but I think it's cool that this American Liberty Awards is recognizing a lot of people who usually don't get recognized by the parasitical media, the psychopathic, sociopathic media machine. Let's see the White House lady, first of all. The White House lady discussing this Coke scandal. Let's see what she had to say.
We believe that, The Secret Service did a thorough investigation. Certainly not going to opine on the investigation. Of course, we're going to have confidence that they're going to do their jobs and do everything that they can to get to the bottom of this. Of course, that is something that we have confidence. We will always have confidence in that. But as you've just stated, we've been briefed on the outcome, and in their public statement,
outcome. They don't release
as well,
a name.
The Secret Service have said, there is hundreds of visitors that travel through this area where the cocaine was found across that weekend. And so I'm going to leave it to them for any additional information, but certainly not going to opine on the process here. But we believe it was a thorough investigation.
Okay, it was not a thorough investigation because they didn't reveal a suspect for doing the coke in the White House or having the coke in the White House. And isn't it just hilarious to hear the White House lady have to do her White House spin jargon while she is talking about cocaine in the White House? That kind of, it's like, obviously we want to be transparent, and we're committed to transparency and accountability in our institutions when we discuss who it is that was doing blow in the White House. And obviously, the investigators, the authorities are doing their job, and we're going to hang back and we're going to make sure that things are structured and we find who did this blow. And it's just hilarious. And obviously, Hunter Biden, why isn't he a big suspect in this? Hunter Biden was there. Hunter Biden was at the White House prior to the cocaine being found. Okay, and Hunter Biden is obviously a guy who has smoked a lot of crack. If you smoke a lot of crack, I would assume, that cocaine also might strike your fancy if you happen to be a raging cokehead like Hunter Biden is and has been during his tenure in in the public spotlight. I think Justin Trudeau maybe is getting a little tired of being in the public spotlight because people really don't like him. Here he was at the American Indigenous Awards trying to honor the indigenous people, and, the indigenous people and others didn't seem to care for Justin Trudeau. Tyrant, that just brought so much joy to me, just seeing that guy booed. Oh, seeing that guy booed. He deserved it, too. Absolutely deserved it. Allegedly, a lot of people say, they suspect, that Justin Trudeau's father might actually be Fidel Castro. Now, we know that Geraldo Rivera actually admitted to having sexual relations with Justin Trudeau's mom. So Geraldo Rivera, who we've covered extensively here on this show, Mustached Geraldo, claimed that he indeed had sex with Justin Trudeau's mom. Fidel Castro oftentimes comes up as a possible suspect for being Justin Trudeau's father. Castro had swagger, though. Say what you will about him, obviously evil and horrible communist dictator. But, when he wore that military uniform and just strutted around, people kind of, followed him. And, he had a certain kind of air about him that he was in power. Justin Trudeau, total beta male, does not have the Castro energy, okay? Does not have his possible father's energy at all. Comes off like somebody who lives in Brooklyn, eats cat food, and, writes listicles for BuzzFeed News. Oh, wait, BuzzFeed News doesn't exist anymore. I like to rub that in as much as possible. Just remind people that BuzzFeed News went out of business. Ha, 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 ha. I love it. I just love it. Schadenfreude is a powerful motivator. Let me just say, when you are dealing with evil people, when you are dealing with the worst people in the world, Schadenfreude, it really keeps you going. It gets you through Valley Forge, that Schadenfreude. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Anytime I see the name Kamala Harris, I know that I'm about to see a clip that's pretty darn good. Here she is speaking at an event for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Now, Jesse Jackson, over the years, he ran for president. He was a so-called civil rights leader, a black racial justice activist. But Kamala Harris wants to tie Jesse Jackson to the rainbow imagery. Let's take a look.
And early on, just think about it. Early on, he even had the audacity to name this coalition the National Rainbow Coalition. Think about that. He defined the rainbow. He was one of the first to define the rainbow.
First to define the rainbow. He defined the rainbow. What is she implying? Is she implying that Jesse Jackson, laid the groundwork for all of the LGBT stuff we're seeing now? Because that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Jesse Jackson's Rainbow organization, Rainbow Push Coalition, I believe it's called, had to do with agitating for black interests. But Kamala Harris has just got rainbows on her mind, as a lot of the Democrats do now, because they are so obsessed with pushing the agenda of not being heterosexual. Meanwhile, here is, this guy's actually a congressman. Oh, the Democrats aren't sending their best. Let's get this lightweight's name. Congressman Maxwell Frost of Florida. Keeping it classy.
I ran on this. I come from a state that's run by a fucking fascist.
Oh.
And yes, boo. And
yes, boo.
When
we can boo more for Ron DeSantis.
We can boo higher for Ron DeSantis. Boo! And it's not
hideous.
just him. There's an apparatus, right? But either way.
Maxwell Frost. So apparently you can just drop the F-bomb, call somebody an effing fascist, and be a congressman nowadays. Isn't that so great for our culture? These are certainly not the times of President John F. Kennedy or his brother Bobby Kennedy. But hey, Bobby Kennedy Jr. is actually running for president. And he is, preparing himself not only to take on Biden, but also potentially to take on Trump. And a lot of populists and truthers out there are hoping for a Donald Trump versus Robert F. Kennedy Jr. showdown in the general election, in which case, either way it goes, the people get something. On the one hand, you get Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a constitutional maximalist, a truther against the genocide needle, against the bioweapon that has been put out there into the country. And then meanwhile, you've got President Donald Trump, a total baller, somebody who they're trying to put into the gulag so that he can't run for president again because they fear him because he has done a lot of anti-establishment things. He was absolutely great on trade. And in many ways, he did keep us out of, for instance, World War III. He kept us out of World War III, which we're barreling into right now. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. criticizes President Trump a little bit in this next clip based on their interactions with each other about the vaccine issue. And keep in mind, when we show Robert F. Kennedy Jr., criticizing Trump, or inevitably, and it's possible that this will happen at some point, I'm sure, when President Donald Trump turns his ire on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as a rival and they go at each other, we will show these clips and, you can take sides, but we're not, going to offer an opinion on this. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying some really interesting stuff.
That the people who are normally put in charge of these agencies, and this was what Trump did too. Trump came in and he promised to drain the swamp, and then, he named me as head of the Vaccine Safety Commission, and I started that function. I met with Fauci, I met with Collins, and was putting together that, project. And then when that news got out, Pfizer gave $1 million contribution to Trump, and Trump appointed to Pfizer's handpicked candidates, Alex Azar, to run HHS, and Scott Gottlieb, who was a partner of Pfizer, to run FDA. Yep. And, Gottlieb came in there, did an $88 billion gift to Operation Warp Speed for Pfizer, and then left to join Pfizer's board and collect his payoff. So, that is the swamp. And people come in wanting to change it, but they get intimidated by these big agencies, and they get frightened because, the agency can hurt you. If you go after that agency, there's a lot of top-level officials in there who can commit all kinds of civil disobediences that will embarrass the president. And so what they do is they appoint somebody who's safe. They look at the agency, they say, I'd like to change that, but I got other agendas. So they leave the whole, instrument of corruption intact, and they appoint somebody who's safe. And that person, Ralph Reed once said to me, the guys who get those jobs are the guys who get the joke.
Right.
I said in my announcement speeches, I get the joke, but I don't think it's funny.
Right, exactly.
And I'm not safe. No, I'm not. My job is to keep the American people safe. But I'm not going to be safe with the status quo. I'm going to be the worst nightmare for the status quo.
Whoa! Let's go. The worst nightmare for the status quo. Now, obviously, we have a lot of Trump fans on this show, and we have covered President Donald Trump, the great President Donald Trump, over the years. But you're going to see more criticism of President Donald Trump from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as his campaign gets closer and closer, possibly to a general election against Trump. So far, Trump has said that he admires Robert F. Kennedy Jr., something to that effect. He thinks he's a good guy, a good person. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said something to the effect of, I'm proud that Trump likes me. And so they've been keeping it civil so far because they're both very popular people with the Truth Movement, with a lot of the same kinds of folks. And they have different coalitions, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., like Trump, can really tap into the truther audience, the Alex Jones audience, and really red-pilled people. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. also doing very well among independents and also doing well, among Democrats, whereas President Donald Trump on the Republican side absolutely soaring, demolishing his competitors in the polls, not even close, lapping them around the track. So really the only thing that's going to stop President Donald Trump from being the presumptive Republican nominee, potentially, is this criminal witch hunt, this railroading of him that they're trying to do. And I think, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and other people who really care about what they say. And it's cool to have him in the race because he's somebody who actually says what he means. Isn't that fun to have politicians who actually talk like normal people and actually tell you what they really think instead of just talking in these talking points? We will empower the underprivileged communities to inspire and form new. It's all just progressive jargon that these politicians just vomit out of their mouths. And the American people are worse off for it. So it's good that Trump is in there doing really well. It's good that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is in there doing really well, representing the people who know what's going on. I mean, as he said right there, he gets the joke, but he doesn't think it's funny. You know what I do think is funny, however? So this is from Elle. Elle on Twitter, who is great. And I always like to see what Elle is digging up. And Elle on Twitter, I think she has a show called Big Dig Energy, I think is the name of her show. And you can follow her on Gab too. She's indefatigable. Here's what she found. Well, that's not what we were talking about. What actually was what she was talking about was Mitch McConnell, apparently, and Joe Biden both got together in 1989, the year I was born. Shows you how old I am. Mitch McConnell, here we'll take that other one off. Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden got together in 1989 and they teamed up and they formed a partnership to try to combat voter fraud. What? My mind is just, Joe Biden, the biggest beneficiary of election fraud of all time, a guy who has no business being the so-called president of the United States, who got in through a stolen election. And Mitch McConnell, who, of course, is part of the whole stolen election gang, he isn't doing anything to stop the stolen elections, old Turtle Mitch. Well, I guess they cared about the issue in 1989 for some reason, but nowadays they seem to be enjoying the voter fraud, hoping that the voter fraud continues, maybe strategizing for more voter fraud potentially. Because you see, Biden's not even really campaigning in a very serious way. It's like, do the Democrats feel like they don't even need to campaign him? Do they not even need to build some kind of infrastructure? Or maybe he's not going to be the candidate and they're going to surprise us because you've got Gavin Newsom starting to make moves. And I know for a fact that a lot of the Democrats really want to put Gavin Newsom in there. So it's not Joe Biden anymore because he's such a national embarrassment and an embarrassment to the Democrats. Well, ladies and gentlemen, everything is really an embarrassment to the Democrats in many ways. And MSNBC, I think, is one of the biggest embarrassments over there on the left-hand side. And the thing with MSNBC is they're at least self-aware, okay? They are at least aware that people are not watching them, that they're not doing a very good job of getting people to care about what they say, and oftentimes their content, you probably haven't seen this next clip, but their content is going to get out to a bigger audience by virtue of the fact that I'm making fun of it here on the show. So at least they're getting the numbers up a little bit. But here's an amazing clip from MSNBC in which they're talking about their failure to sway the public.
Time to try and be a sensible consumer of information. Nina, but let's just talk about that for a second. I just did that intro to the segment, right? So that my audience would understand this conspiracy theory that I guarantee you pretty much nobody in my audience knew that story, because why would they? 2 segments ago, I talked about red states and Bidenomics. Again, my audience doesn't have conspiracy theorists in it. No? Right. So what does this content war mean? What does this volume of information mean? I can sit here and book you guys on the show, and we can debunk these conspiracy theories that my viewer didn't have in the first place. And the people out there who are bathing in this cesspool of conspiracy are not watching me.
No, they're not. No.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. We're not reaching the target audience of those conspiracy theories. And frankly, I think that's why Ray Epps decided to bring his lawsuit, also to get, back at Fox for the damage they've done to his life. And it's why I decided to sue Fox as well for the conspiracy theories they spread about me. I think there need to be consequences for people who are ruining people's lives, lying for profit. Now, unfortunately, we can't sue members of Congress for the things that they say on the floor in the course of duty. But what we can do is go to the ballot box. So hopefully your viewers, Ali, are all over the country and can go out there and vote, not just in presidential elections, but in midterm elections and in local elections, because that's how we show that we mean business. That is the real consequence that we have with our elected officials. And we have to say to them that we categorically dismiss their lies.
Fingernails on a chalkboard.
What a good answer that we do. The rest of us actually have some power in this, whether it's a ballot box or going to our school board meetings where they're banning books. We do actually have the vote, and we have our voices. So even if you're not subject to this stuff, fight
on your side.
If you have a voice, fight the nonsense that's out there. Thanks to both of you.
Banning books by not wanting disgusting, vile pornography being read to children. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. They live in an alternate reality, these leftist liberals. They absolutely live in an alternate reality. But you know who lives in the real reality? Second Amendment supporters, gun owners, people who want to defend themselves and their families. And the Second Amendment is an amazing thing. Here is actually a little commercial that we have made here on the campaign show for Vanish holsters. So if you're watching this right now, you're thinking about buying a gun holster, buy it from Vanish holsters, vnsh.com/Patrick, and you're going to get a very big discount. Let's take a look. Christian gun owners should be aware of an unfortunate trend that is putting people in danger. Millions of concealed carrying gun owners have made a huge mistake with their holster. Sadly, their holster is so uncomfortable that they've stopped using it. Maybe you've experienced this problem with uncomfortable holsters. If you have an uncomfortable holster and you don't use it, then your quest to defend yourself or others fails right out of the gate. That's why Vanish holsters are quickly becoming one of the most popular holsters in America. Thousands of customers say that it's the most comfortable holster ever, and when you get one, you'll never stop carrying. This holster also saves you money. That's because it fits 99% of all semi-auto handguns, works without a tactical belt, lets you carry in multiple positions, and it carries 2 fully loaded magazines. And best of all is that because you're a viewer of the campaign show, you can get it for $50 off. Just go to vnsh.com/Patrick to see if your gun will work with it and to activate your discount today. It's normally $130. Since you watch the campaign show, you will get a $50 discount at vnsh.com/Patrick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a ride this is. This campaign's just getting started, folks, by the way. We got a long way until November 2024, but time flies when you're having fun. It's going to go quick. We here on the campaign show are going to just be absolutely mocking the bad guys, cheering on the good guys if they deserve it, but also recognizing that we're in an occupied country and the bad politicians, the crooked politicians, truly want to genocide us. And that's a weird thing. If you see these politicians on TV, for instance, on C-SPAN, it's kind of a weird thing thinking like, oh, hey, that person, wants to genocide me. And, a lot of them are backing that agenda at the least. And that goes for both parties, by the way. But in both parties, there is a populist candidate for the president of the United States. Over there on the Democrat side, you've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. On the Republican side, you have President Donald Trump. Let's hope that they meet in November because we want the best possible people for all of the institutions and all of the offices that we have in our country. And we want the best possible people, like campaign show viewers, for instance, to get into local office as well. Run for your school board, get down there and make a difference, you know? It's easy to be an armchair quarterback, but it's a little bit more challenging to actually win an election, get onto a city council or a school board or something that makes a difference in your local area. I'm not going to say community, that's a progressive word, but it's something that makes a difference in the area that you live in. And that's really what it comes down. That's where you can really have power, actually, in localized elections and localized politics. So I just want to encourage everyone who watches the show to be active, be engaged, stay optimistic. There's so many black pills out there. There's so many negative things out there. Not a whole lot of good news, it seems like. But you know, just focus on really appreciating the people who are out there, you know, doing this kind of work, and have each other's backs, man. Have each other's backs. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to vote for me for the American Liberty Awards, go to AmericanLibertyAwards.com. Patrick Howley, a national file. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, if you aren't already, I'm twitter.com/HowleyReporter, gab.com/PatrickReports, and I'm on Cozy, and I am on Twitter, and I'm on band.video every weekday. So, hey, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come back to the campaign show, and let's have some fun.